This is the Phoenix mind, where the fire it finds, break the chains and rise to shine. Rise stronger, lead with heart, every end a brand new start. With Lisa Manzo, we transform, we ignite. This is the Phoenix mind.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Mind podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Manzo, and today my guest is Erin Maillo, and I'm going to read you her bio so you can learn all about her, and then we're going to have a conversation. So Erin is a health coach that specializes in helping women recover from IBS. Anybody who doesn't know what IBS is, it's irritable bowel syndrome. She is a mother, a creative, and has recently moved to Italy to pursue a life that resembles sanity. Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that. She loves walking, Pilates, strength training, and bullet journaling. I don't know what that is either. Most of all, she loves her son. And welcome to my podcast, Erin. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I appreciate it.
So, I like to let my guests take a minute or two to, how did you get to Italy? Tell me more about you, because, there seems to be a lot in there it's a mystery.
I know it is a mystery even to me. I'm like, what's going on? How am I here? How is this my life? It's kind of a long story, but I guess basically the short of it is that I was living in California for many years, probably 15 years, teaching. I was a primary school teacher. And I found that job extremely rewarding, but also very, very stressful. For me, it was very stressful. And then when my son was born, it just went through the roof. And so my husband kept saying, let's move to Italy. I want to move to Italy. And I'm like, well, yeah, but we don't have a way to make a living there. We can't. And then COVID happened. And his job was able to move remote, like he can work and do his job online now.
Oh,
and when that happened, it was like, wait a second, what? So we just basically a mix of that and my just like really intense burnout. I was like, I have to change careers, but California is so expensive. So the prospect of changing, I didn't know how to make it work, staying in California. And so we just did it as an experiment to see if it would work. And so far it's just really been working out very well. And I feel like my life is just so different from what it was like 4 years ago.
Wow. It sounds like it's completely different than it was 4 years ago. And so I was a former school teacher as well.
Wow.
Yes, so I totally understand that. And I moved on to nursing after that.
Wow.
I'm better on a one-to-one basis than I am on a one-to-many basis. It's very draining for me. And so I feel like I serve better as a nurse than I ever did as a teacher. And I'm sure I was just fine as a teacher because, we're the harshest judges of ourselves. So talk to me about you coach and you help people. You specialize in women recovering from IBS. How did you get there?
Well, so after my son was born, I had a really difficult birth with him. Like many women, it was just like extreme sleep deprivation, it's so multi-layered. And so I, soon after he was born, developed IBS and was just like, wait, what's going on? Because I considered myself to be super healthy. I ate really healthfully, I exercised, and my stomach had always been very strong. And I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm constipated, I'm bloated. And it was so painful. And I just was super confused. I didn't know what to do. I went to the doctor. They really had no guidance, like what's going on. Like, I just really wanted to know, like, what happened? Like, what can I do? Like, what is going on? And so I was sort of left to my own devices, and I had to just figure it out on my own. So for, several years, I just was like deep dive, like what's happening, what could be contributing, and of course learned a lot. And so when I was thinking about, I had to leave the classroom and I was thinking about what do I really want to do? I spent a year in coaching myself. Well, I was in therapy, of course, for a long time. Then I went into coaching to kind of really figure out like, what is my calling? Like what would suit me and my personality and my interests and my strengths? That just came forward. It was like to help women who've been, and I was like, exactly, like I needed my person then after my son was born, which was, 7 years ago. I'm like the person that I would have wanted to have helped me. Do you know what I mean? Like I wanted
Yeah.
someone who had been there. I wanted like a real person that could be like, I've been through it.
Absolutely, because that's what I find. That's why the coaches do what they do. They do it because they've experienced it, and it's really a big calling. And when you did it, you didn't find anybody. You had to figure it out for yourself, right? And
There was no one. I mean, I wasn't at that time, I wasn't even aware of like health coaching as a thing. I didn't even know to look into that. It wasn't, yeah.
oh man, I'm sure you make a huge difference, because people want to learn from somebody who's walked in front of them and knows what they're talking about, and not to learn from a coach, well, I studied this and this is what you should be doing. But when you've experienced something, it's a whole different ballgame for people. Oh, you really know how this feels. You're not just saying it because you understand how the disease or whatever's going on works. You've experienced it, which is such a different and the medical profession is wonderful, and it's so much different coming from a person who's experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the medical. I mean, I was worried I had, cancer. I didn't know. I mean, I went through the medical system to rule out, and I always recommend people do that because you don't know, it could be something more serious. You really do want to get those more serious conditions ruled out.
Well, absolutely. So I have a question for you about leaving your profession, because it seems to have been the teaching seems to have been a real calling for you, like the teaching the
Mm.
children. How was that emotionally to leave that? Was that easy? Was that a challenge? To tell us about that.
That was really, really, really hard for me. Yeah, it definitely was a calling. It was something that I'd spent, I was in the classroom for 15 years, probably more if you consider the time I was in Spain. I taught English as a second language, not to small children, but to, older kids. So I had just invested so much in that part of my life, and I was always trying to perfect it. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to try this and this is going to fix this situation. But when it never did. You know what I mean? I just found, like you were saying, the one to many, I found me being alone in a classroom with 30 kids was just really overwhelming for me because I couldn't give them what they needed. That's how I felt. I felt that they needed more attention and that the system was set up in a way to cause them stress and me stress. And that really didn't sit right with me,
I
you
feel that I
know?
feel what you're saying, because I understand from being in the classroom, you have the children at so many different levels, and how many lesson plans in one, because it's one lesson plan, yet you need to teach to the person that's really smart, but you also need to teach to the child that's a little bit behind, and then you
Yeah.
need to have the middle of the road kids, and need to keep them all engaged and in it. And it was not an easy task, and that's why I said, like, with the one to many, because I just felt like there wasn't enough of me to go around. When when I
Exactly.
when we when we started the classroom, I'm bigger than the children because I taught kindergarten, right? So I drew myself a circle that was twice as big as them because I was twice as big as them at that point, right? And then for each one of them, I drew a circle and I had them write their name in the circle. And I put me in the middle and I had them all write their name. And we've had this poster on the wall for the whole year. And I would when things would start to get a little complicated, I would remind them of, I would say, hey, remember there's only one of me. Look how many of you there are. And
Yeah.
it was cute because they were kindergartners, so they got it in that way,
Yeah.
and they were a little bit more patient and they understood. And I was able to explain it to them in a way that they had, yet I still felt like I wasn't meeting their needs because there was just so many of them. But yet you let it go.
Exactly.
And so you had this, it was a tough decision. You let it go. What gave you peace about that when you finally let it go? The teaching.
Um, I think I had spent probably a good half time of my career, like the last probably 5 or 7 years, thinking, okay, how can I make this work for me? Do I need to set better boundaries? Okay, I'll do that. I'll leave at 3:30. Like, do I need to change? Do I need to work with older kids? Okay, I'll try it. Do I need blah blah? And then thinking, okay, I need to change career. Like what I was in therapy 2 years. I spent weekly therapy talking to my therapist about like how to manage this conflict. Like, what do I do? I love this job. This is all I've ever known. This is all I've ever done. I've invested so much. It's like so much a part of my identity. And I was so afraid to let go. I had so much resistance. And then there was just a moment when I was just like, okay, I really cannot do this anymore. I gotta go. I've tried so hard to make it work, and everything that I've tried it's the same problem. And it's essentially who I am.
So do you feel like God was redirecting you to where you really needed to be at that point?
I do. I feel like, I mean, it's hard to say because I know I had a good positive impact in the classroom, and it wasn't all horrible. But the price that I paid, I just couldn't make it work. And it was just like I really had to get to like rock bottom, and just be like, whatever I have to do. I was like, I think maybe I'll just go work at Trader Joe's and I'll just like figure it out. Like I don't care. Like I'm gonna go clean houses. I'm not going back next year. Like I'm gonna, and I think once I was kind of willing to be like, okay, I give up, kind of like I give up, I give up, I give up. I just can't, you know.
You chose you. It sounds like you
Yes.
really chose you.
And then after that, it was like so much opened up, so much opened up. It was like, oh, well, if you're just going to work at Trader Joe's next year, maybe we could take like a sabbatical to Italy for like 3 months. Oh, maybe 6 months. Oh, maybe a year. Oh, actually, maybe we can work there. It was just like, it was like this domino of like effects that came from like the work, kind of like the worst moment in a way. Like I was just like, this thing that I've, this thing that I am. I can't be it anymore. And now I'm just kind of empty. I'm out of ideas.
So this is really interesting to me. You moved to another country. Your husband always wanted to, which is great.
Yeah.
So tell me what's one thing that you love about being in Italy?
I mean, the food.
Okay, that's fine.
It's like, the food, that's like a cliche thing. I mean, the big, big, big thing is that we went from both working full time to now we both work part time.
That's wonderful.
It's like our life has been rebalanced, and there's more space for the things that like really matter. You know what I mean? Like there's space for us to exercise, there's space for us to be with our son, to go out with friends, to rest. There's just like a spaciousness,
That's
you know?
interesting. So, what's
Yeah.
one thing that surprised you in Italy that you weren't expecting? Because we know that when you move to something, there's customs and there's different ways of doing things. It's like even when I've moved states already
Mm,
twice. I've moved from New York to North Carolina, and then I moved to Las Vegas. And just the difference in the state laws of how things work and how things run. Because I used to think, oh, I'm from New York, everybody does it this way. And the laws, even in medicine, like what I'm allowed to do in Nevada as a nurse versus what I was allowed to do in New York as a nurse was so different. So tell me something that was unexpected in Italy for you.
I think it's hard to exactly put my finger on what it is. Me and my husband spend a lot of time thinking and talking about this, but there's a sense of like, it's not like it is a capitalist country. It is, obviously, the market, whatever. But it's not, it doesn't function, businesses don't function in the way that they do in the States. Like no one seems like people here just seem like they're kind of interested in making money, but like not really. You know what I mean? Like in the States, I feel like you go somewhere and they're trying to sell you, they're thinking through everything, their website, they're trying to make it as easy for you to like buy something, right? Whereas here it's like there's all these roadblocks, and even like I tried to sign my son up for swim class and I went there and it was almost like the woman was like trying to convince me not to sign him up. And I'm like, don't you work here? Like what's like businesses, they don't have a website, they don't have their hours up. It's kind of like everything is like word of mouth, like you gotta know. You gotta know someone who knows someone and then you're connected. But if you try to look for something online that you need, like it's really hard to find. It's very
Oh,
bizarre. It's like for the first 6 months, you're just like, you're on Google and you're just like, but why? Like, you don't know, it's just it's annoying and it's also kind of refreshing because, it's just kind of like, well, they're doing something else. People aren't like so obsessed with work. It's,
that,
it's kind of
that's
like
kind
a
of
side
nice.
thing, you know?
Do they take a nap in the afternoon like they show in the movies?
I don't know. I don't know if people really nap, but they do. Everyone stops for lunch at 1 o'clock and things do close down. They have those hours. It's like open from 9 to 1 and then it closes from 1 to 4 and then reopens back up from like 4 to 7 or 8.
Oh, okay.
So people do go home oftentimes. School ends at 1 o'clock. Kids come home for lunch, that kind of thing.
Do
That
they
is
go
true.
back to school too, or just end?
No, it depends. Some kids stay at home or they stay with their grandparents. Some kids go to after school or they have like sporting classes and stuff after school.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So we asked questions before you joined the podcast, and one of the things you had said is that you grew up in upstate New York. Where upstate New York? I'm curious.
Like a little town outside of Rochester.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I always joke with my friends because I'm actually from Queens.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I and my friends get mad at me, the ones that are from upstate. I said, "Oh, you're a redneck," and just joking around. And then, and I said that to somebody, and it came up twice in a week. And she goes, "Do you really think of us that way?" I said, "Yeah, we do."
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's like it was very rural where I grew.
Yeah,
I had a very nice childhood. I was allowed, it was the 80s. I was allowed to run free on my bike and it was very wild. It was
yeah,
very free and very wild.
yeah. Anyway, so I was seeing that. And how did you growing up? Because you say it, you wrote to me that you feel like you've had emotional intelligence your whole life. And for me, emotional intelligence is being aware of your feelings, being able to regulate them, and being aware of other people's feelings and be able to navigate theirs as well. You write that You feel like you've always had that skill. What helped you develop it?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think that for me, that's just always been it's my personality. I don't know if I was necessarily raised that way. I think it more just came from, and even having my son, it's like you can see different tendencies, but it's like I was always like in a book because to me it was like the characters was just like just connect, 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 connect. And that's how I learned things. That's how I understood things, right? And like through friendships and like understanding, oh, you felt like this and this is what motivated this. To me, like my whole life is just motivated through emotions and through understanding like what brings me peace, what doesn't bring me peace, and like it's complicated
Oh,
when
it is
you're,
complicated.
you know,
Did you have an example of a parent of what to do or a parent of what not to do? How was that? How was your upbringing?
it's tricky because it's just my upbringing was so different than like the way that my son is being raised. I had a lot of space. I had a lot of freedom. It's like when I think about my childhood, I think about just being my parents just being like, you need to go out or you need to entertain yourself, basically. That's not how it is now. It's like, so I just spent a lot of time just like in imagination and imagination games, reading, drawing, playing with my sisters, doing tons of sports, doing just like creating my own world and basically navigating all the social dynamics, very much like just us kids. It's not like there were adults like coaching us, being like, you should apologize, blah. No, no. Like it was much more sink or swim, I think.
Yeah.
You
Sink or
know?
swim. I remember that from being a child, that a lot of that sink or swim. Go out and try it and figure it out.
You got to be tough, and you had to be kind of tough. And I wasn't necessarily tough. So I had to kind of learn to be a little bit tough to manage in those kinds of environments, I think. Yeah.
So what is one of the truths that you had to learn the hard way in life?
Oh my gosh, one of the truths I've had to manage to learn the hard way. I don't know. I think about I've of course I've because of my business, I think about IBS a lot. And that to me is like a quintessential story for me that
Right.
I've seen repeat in many other areas of my life, but then the way it played out there, it was like, okay, you have this diagnosis. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna beat this thing. You're gonna fight it. You're gonna conquer it. And it's like the lesson I learned there is like, no, that energy, like that's maybe 10% of the energy you need to bring to this. Like 90% of the energy of like what really ended up working for me in terms of like deeper, long lasting healing was like, you need to let go. You need to step back. You need to stop trying so hard and become more aware of what it is that you're actually feeling and attending to that reality instead of trying to force something. I think that that's always been like my personality is like you're going to work, you're going to figure it out, you're going to hustle through, and that kind of energy was just making it worse for me.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
stress, ugh, yeah.
It's interesting when you say that you stopped forcing things, because how many, this for the audience, how many of you out there are doing something that you're forcing to make it work, And then Erin went and she left the teaching job, and then everything started to fall into place for her for a better life. And she's now a coach. And so I invite you, audience, to if you're fighting this, maybe you're picking the wrong battle. What are your thoughts on that, Erin?
Yes, I think that there's a middle way. I think that sometimes people go into one, depending on your personality. Some people like they don't do anything. They don't do anything. And it's like you can't, if you have IBS, you can't just keep doing the same thing that you've been doing and not change your diet, not, not at least try to focus on what is within your control, right? There's like you have to have a little bit of control, but you also have to let go of control. I think that that's the it's hard to know. Like you really have to develop self-awareness and
I
you
call that
know,
I call that surrendering.
yes,
I call it surrendering that I don't know the best way, and maybe God or the universe, whatever word is you like, knows better than me, and I'm going down the wrong road and I need to change directions.
absolutely. But also, like, are you sleeping well? Are you drinking enough? There's like some basic things that we could be doing to taking care of to be like taking better care of ourselves. And that if you aren't doing those or making them a priority to care for yourself, it's also hard to heal. It's like yes, universe, God, take over, show me the way, but you also have to be open
To
to
taking
taking
action.
steps and action, you
Yep, you have to
know?
take action. You have to participate, is what I like to
You have
say.
to participate in the movement, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to participate in your healing. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen all on its own. And I giggle as I say that because I used to like, oh, somebody's got to help me through this when, I'm the one that actually has to do all the work. They can be my guide,
Yeah.
which is you're their guide for the IBS journey and you're in the health coast, yet they still have to do the work. And that's one of the hardest things that I find. I know it's not easy teaching people. Yes, you have to participate.
Yes, you absolutely there's not going to be probably like a magic person to come in, but I was good on I was like, just tell me what to do, just tell me what to do, I'll do it. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
I would, I'm a good like client in that way. But where I struggle more is the other side, you
Hmm.
know? Yeah.
So, Erin, I have two more questions for you. When somebody wants to learn more from you, you're a health coach, how can they find you?
Yes, good question. They can go to my website, which is healingheribs.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at Healing Her IBS Wellness. So very similar, but wellness at the end. And my
Oh,
podcast, I have a podcast, Healing Her IBS. So it's all very Healing Her IBS.
okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And so one piece of advice for my audience, if they're struggling with something, how do they keep going?
Mm, I say, how do they keep going? Have a big vision, have a big vision of where you want to end up, and then have your little steps, committing to taking that big vision and then bringing it down to like this week, to today, to this moment. Like, I think we can just become so overwhelmed when we have to solve something that's really big.
Yeah.
And it's like the path to that bigger vision is like the day to day, taking steps, having faith. I think it's so easy to become frustrated. It's like I just broke my two little toes and I can't
Ouch.
exercise. I know, and I can't exercise, and exercise is my, it's my antidepressant. I'm not on but I'm like, if I couldn't exercise, it would be really hard for me to
You
manage
can
my.
do chair exercises.
I have been. I'm like, what can I do? Okay, do this, do this. But it's like I'm a big like walker, and I can't walk. So I'm just like, it's okay, it's okay. Like,
It'll be
Not to
fine.
get like caught into the day of like, oh, I feel so bad and there's no way out. I very much have that. I have to fight that mentality, you
Awesome.
know? Yeah.
So, Erin, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice talking to you.
Great. So, this has been another episode of the Phoenix Mind Podcast. I'm Lisa Manzo, your host, and I'll see you on the next episode.
This is the Phoenix Mind, where the fire refines. Together we rise, transform our lives. So subscribe, share the